I guess on this trail on the campground where I'm at, there used to be a putt-putt attached to this campground before the current owners, and I guess it stopped being used years before the current owners took over. They just bought it in 2023. But let's go see what weird putt-putt stuff there is in the woods out here. I mean, well, this was a fun one, quite a distance. I don't know what we're gonna find. Maybe there's nothing back here but junk. Let's see. So far, this is a pretty cool campground, though. There's a bar and grill that's, open year-round. A lot of locals right on the premises, and we've got pool table and stuff. The showers are located right in the same building. Not very big unless it meanders. Let's see. There's some stagnant creek down there. A lot of old wood piles. But they did just get this place. The clubhouse, though, is really nice, where the little bar and grill is. It's really nice. And the food is good. I've been working so hard. I'm still working on the screens. I keep finding gaps and things. Oh, I guess that's it. It's not very big. I thought I saw a bridge, though. I'm gonna go find it. So I've been working so hard every day on stuff like the screens and, just little tiny projects, things that need to be better. Keep finding gaps and things like that where weather is coming in. And like seals that I thought were okay are not. Oh, I see. There's a lot more of this trail somewhere over there, but you can't get to it from this side. So, how do I get over there? I have to walk around the field, I think, to see. A bench overturned over there. But a lot of locals hang out at this particular little club. It seems to be kind of motorcycle oriented, which is fine. I get along with biker people pretty good. So that's all good. Let's go find out where these trails go. Yeah, I love that I registered for my campsite in a bar. But they had karaoke, and that was fun. I decided if I was gonna stay any place at all that had something like that, best thing for me to do would be to break the ice right away and go up and meet some of the people who hang out. So if like Dogman gets me or anything out here, they know where to start looking. That kind of stuff. Oh, looks like there's a volleyball net out there. But I want to see the rest of this real quick. And then maybe I'll go look out there. I think I might wait to publish this one until I move to the next place, because that's not super smart to go advertising your whereabouts. Oh, but look, we get to walk through the lovely flowers. It's pretty cool, though, actually. Okay, so this was another one of the little greens. The structure is still here. I guess they could do something out here if they wanted to. And I'll bet that these owners, if they're here for a while, they'll do something neat out here, because they are already using it as a bit of a music venue. And I guess they host some bike rally meetups and stuff like that. I got to talking to one of the owners the first day that I got here, because the first site that I got into, I got all hooked up and I thought I did a really good job leveling it. I plugged it in and it didn't work. And I went, oh shit, what I do now? So I went up to the clubhouse and I asked them if there was anything special I needed to know. And they actually had taken something out of the electrical box at the site that I was at and moved it to another one. So I had to move. And I got the same problem now that I had on the last place that I was at, where my camper's crooked now. The second time I moved it, it's like came up crooked. Shoot. So I'm in another one of those states though, where today was a lot of work. It's hot and there's a lot of duck poop. I was working on the screens and stuff, and the door has the biggest gap where mosquitoes and moths and stuff are getting in. So, but I didn't really know what was available for that other than the little bit of weather stripping stuff that I already had with me, and it wasn't really the right kind of stuff. So I drove to one of the nearby little towns and just kind of walked around in the aisle where they have the window and door seals to look at what was available and try and figure out what would work better. And I have a better idea now because I was able to see what was available and then come back and measure again. But I'm not driving back out there today. It's like a half an hour drive to get to the bigger hardware store. There's a smaller one about 10 minutes away, but I've done enough for today. I'm tired. So after the bit of work that I was doing, I decided one thing I could handle today was to install one of those magnetic screen doors, and that'll solve most of the problem short term. But I want the weather sealing done properly before any like really bad weather hits or anything like that. And if I want to stay in it in cooler weather, that's going to make a huge difference. But after I worked on that for a while, I was like, you know what, I am done with today. So I went up to the clubhouse. I treated myself to meat. I had a real burger, and there's a bonus. This place has a great grill. They make pizzas. And they've got, kind of bar basics like burgers, french fries, a few other little things, but it's all really good. And the people that work here are super friendly and nice. Made friends right away with one of the bartenders when I was first checking in. She was somewhere around my age, maybe a couple years older or something. But she loved that I had David Lee Roth in the windows of my bus, or my camper, sorry. It's the show bus. So we got to talking and stuff. And then when I went back down later in the evening, she was really happy that I'd come down, and I talked with a lot of the locals and stuff like that about my camper and vintage problems and stuff like that. So, oh, that's private property. I'm not going back there. Okay. So, I ended up having a really good time. I met a couple of ladies within, 10 years either way of my own age that were really nice. And we ended up having some good discussions. Oh my God, amazing discussions about like shadow work and, Okay, so they got some games and stuff out here. Just hasn't gotten a lot of use yet. I was the only person camping here that wasn't like a, full-time resident, because the owner obviously stays here. The first day I checked in, they're like, "Yay, we've got a camper." But then somebody else showed up like right after that, thank goodness. And they camped right across from me, which I was grateful for, because I was kind of like farther out from the building and from where the owner's RV is. And I was like, okay, So if there's bears or something out here, they'll smell those people in the tent way before they'll smell me. I'm fine. But they ended up being the people who were running the karaoke that night, and they were nice, friendly people. Guy was a natural, and I actually sang. That was fun. So yeah, a not heavily used volleyball court, but it is a volleyball court out here. This one isn't on the lakeside, but I'm within minutes of some of the great beaches that I was at the last time I was in the Upper Peninsula. When I left the other campsite the other day because my trailer wasn't level, I was gonna go to another campground that was just like 20 minutes down the road, because that whole area is great. There's lots of stuff to do all around, the area that kind of leads up to Mackinac. There's all kinds of little things to stop and see and do. But I just felt like going further and seeing how it all went. And I wanted to come back up and check out that beach again, because that was a really nice one. So I'll probably go back there maybe tomorrow if I accomplish another job. Oh, look, a butterfly. If I accomplish another small job tomorrow, then I'll treat myself and spend the afternoon down at the beach tomorrow. But after walking around all this, I think today is about done for me. And I'm probably gonna go work on my current sweater project and finish this screen door and installation thing, because I had to significantly alter the screen to make it fit an RV door as small as mine. But that's okay. That's how I earn my rest and relaxation. There's actually some nice grounds to walk too, quite a bit. And they've got all of the sites up there are pull-through sites for campers and RVs. But when the other people were checking in, I happened to be down there, and they were like, well, where exactly should we pitch our tent? And he was like, oh, anywhere out there. He's like, these are the RV sites, but you can go anywhere out there. And look, it's kind of nice. And this kid's been on the mower for 2 days now. I know you must have seen a glimpse of him when I turned the camera the other way. But he was down there mowing, God, most of the day yesterday by where my camper is. And now he's down here. Oh, there he is. And there's the look. It's quite nice. Oh, and it's nice and cool back here. Whew. Well, now we know there's a way through right there. So why don't I go see what else is back here? Lots of flowers. They do a good job keeping it mowed and accessible. And I saw some flyers for music events that are going on here this summer. And I'm kind of on the fence right now. I don't think I want to go back downstate for the 4th of July. I think I'm going to end up having more fun if I just, go to one of these random events up here. Because there's tons of them for the 4th of July. Why not? Ooh, there's all kinds of... Damn, this property's bigger than I thought. Kind of crazy. What's this? I don't know. Another fire ring out there. Used to be a tire. And it is hot. I just gotta say, I have full sleeves on, just for a little bit of sun protection, because I'm already super tan. But I'm gonna have to sit and let my legs get tan tomorrow, so I don't look so lopsided, weird. Yeah, wow. Okay, I made it all the way around because I know where I'm at the moment. This is the very back end of the campground. Some of the owner's stuff is back here, and I can see my camper. Kind of through the trees up there. That's a good walk in this weather. It's nice and hot today, but it's kind of rained every night, so it's like it cools right off when it's time to go to sleep. It was pretty good. I wasn't at all uncomfortable, other than that first night at the first campground when I realized that I had not done anywhere near enough to fix my screens. The second night was better. Last night, they're almost non-existent, but a few got through. So I started really looking really closely, and it was like small gaps, teeny tiny gaps. But up here and this time of year, that makes a difference. The mayflies are everywhere, and it's just a little bit annoying. So I spent some extra time working on it. And there we are. I'm gonna go right inside that little camper and take off my clothes and lay down. And I'll deal with how not level that thing is later. So I've been steadily working on and improving everything since I started out on my little voyage. I figured a lot of this stuff would be easier to do when I was actually spending all of my time in it and seeing how I need the space to operate and what things don't work. And the more time I spend in it, the more I can spot places where there's gaps and screens and weather sealing and all those things. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of days as I, kind of shift my time between hanging out, walking around, enjoying beautiful northern Michigan, and avoiding the worst of the heat wave downstate. And then the other portions of my day, I'm working on, ironing out all the kinks. I just did my laundry, so excuse the mess. But this is what I started working on yesterday. I went and I got one of these screen magnetic doors to put up, because there's only that little door there, and my front window doesn't open now because I put the plexiglass in, because of the mechanism that I broke when I had to break into my own trailer, 2-3 times while fixing the door. Anyway, the reason this was like my big job for the day, it's just one of these screens. They go up with, Velcro along the sides and all that, is because these are made for a regular door. They come in one size, and it's way, way, way too long, and way too wide. So as I was putting it up, I solved a bunch of little problems and did a lot of extra work to customize it and make it work. And now that I've sat with it for a day, I think I have some more ideas to make it even better. But let's pull the door closed. I needed it to have some clearance, for one thing, for these mechanisms. And since it was big, I took pleats and just did a few hand stitches in it here and there to make it kind of like a balloon around the door. You know what I mean? Give it some real space, so that I can easily get in here and grab the handle or the window mechanism, and it's not too tight. And also, since this is a very small and narrow opening to start with, it's the magnets are actually really strong on these. They hold pretty well. It snaps right back closed, before you can scarcely get through it, so it's nice. But if that were taut across the door, it might be hard for some people to even light get through there. So I wanted to leave this space. I also didn't want to have to cut it and lose the length of it in case I decide to move it all the way up to the top there, or do something else with it, or I get a different, I'd probably leave it with this unit if I ever sold it. But I don't think I talked about the trim in any of my other videos about my before and afters here, so we'll talk about that for just a second while I'm doing this. The trim that was here, I had to go ahead and take it off to get at the door mechanism when the door broke and I had to break it. And that was a good time to go ahead and replace it. And this is what they had. If you can see it, it's like old aluminum. And since I took it down, I figured I'm not putting something that looks like underneath that Velcro tape. It's really bent up. It's been painted a bunch of times. So why reuse it? So on the sides, I did polystyrene, and it comes in 16-foot lengths at home goods stores. I got mine at Home Depot. You find it in like the window sashing and stuff like that, but it's polystyrene is lighter than most materials, and it's not going to decay or rot or anything like that. And so I didn't, might as well replace it. It was $8.50 something for 16 feet of it, and the door jamb in here is only 5'9". So I got both sides done for $8.50. And yeah, those aren't the right kind of screws technically, but some of the screw holes were super loose. They'd been messed with. It's a 1964, so there's problems, there's issues to work on. But I wanted something that I could still use a magnet on if I were to get something like this later. And I had to accommodate what was already in there and stick very close to the screw holes and everything, so that I don't go making new holes anywhere that they don't need to be and weakening the structure. But since some of the screw holes were loose, I went just a fraction of an inch larger in the screw circumference so that it would be a nice tight hold again. But I didn't get real worried about it. And I had saved the lintel there, you can see where I wrote on it, so that I would have a guide for screw holes later, because rather than get a whole nother stick of the polystyrene to do the lintel and make it match all the way around, I kind of thought that in my little travels here this summer, maybe I'd find some nice handmade sign or something else cool and original that I could put in that space up there across the top. But to put the screen door thing up, I went ahead and put the lintel back up so that all of the Velcro is stuck to that and not to the wall. Because see, some of the panel is a little soft in a few spots. Any leaks that were here, I think the people that I just bought it from handled them, because I haven't had any issue or any signs of problems. But the framing seems pretty good. But this paneling, I might do something about that later. I don't know yet. Don't know. On the downside of this, I had to move my so long and thanks for all the fish signs. So I'm gonna just stick it up over here somewhere. I've already got a couple 3M strips up there. I'll stick it up there, and I just put my other barbecue lighter over there. That works for now. But yeah, I stitched it and I hemmed it, and I wanted to see how it was gonna work. This is working for me. I might need to come up another inch, and I didn't do anything permanent or tidy or anything. You can see where I tried it one way and I pulled the stitches out, and there's still some thread stuck down in there. I'll pull that out later, but I wanted to test it out and leave it like easy to get at those those big threads. To review these magnetic door things, if anyone was ever thinking of getting one for, you know, their house or their RV, camper, whatever, I like this. It was like, I think it was $18 or $19 at the hardware store. The screen is actually really heavy duty and high quality, but it does have some bigger holes. So like the little no-seams and stuff can still kind of come in, but at night, and that's the only time you really have to worry about them. I've got the double protection because the door is closed, but this is now helping to keep out anything that gets through the little cracks. But the material along the sides that it's stuck to is really thin, really cheap. That's where they cut their corners because they use great magnets. This thing just snaps right back together, man. I love it. Really, really like that for being able to just leave the door open and walk in and out. That's the other reason I left the end kind of open, is I wanted to see. I put a couple of little strips in there for a little bit of weight. So I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be short and tight across here, or, you know, leave some slack so that it can move around and I can kick it open freely or whatever. I'm still not sure. But otherwise, these are cool. This thing worked. And, you know, if you do something like this where you modify it just a little bit to fit a smaller door snugly, I just used a really, really, really heavy cotton thread. It's thicker. It's about, God, I don't even know where I got this stuff, but it's really thick and heavy duty. I do need to pick up some UV resistant thread. That's kind of a nice upgrade if you do any sewing for your outdoor use items, is UV resistant thread. Otherwise, yeah, this is why I spent so much time in it, and it was my big job for yesterday. Today's big job is solving door seals. Let's take a look here. I love the way that works though, because it just, you know, magically kind of closes back up on you. You might have to push it when the wind is blowing like that, but it's awesome. So I had some of this little tiny foam window and door seal stuff in my traveling tool stuff because I'd used it in the windows in a few places, but it didn't work. It's not thick enough. I need something a lot thicker. So I went to the back to the hardware store this morning after I measured and looked at that stuff yesterday, and I picked some up. So that's my job for today. Plus I have dishes because I decided to cook in here again, and that worked out great. I actually can cook in here, despite it being a small space. But since I was the only one in here, I did my prep work, you know, sitting at the table here, and then I made a big lovely pot of red lentil soup with carrots and onions and coconut milk and curry. Oh man, had me a little feast up in here. So I'm just gonna be doing this today.